From the depths of rot and decay they rise. The Death Guard marches under sickened skies. With boils and blight, they spread the pain. In Nurgle's name, disease will reign. Rot and ruin and pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The Death Guard comes, none can stay. From the depths of rot and decay they rise. The Death Guard marches under sickened skies. With boils and blight, they spread the pain. In Nurgle's name, disease will reign. Rot and ruin, pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The Death Guard comes, none can stay. Armored and filth with rusted blades, they laugh as cities wilt and fade. Where they tread, no life remains, just hollow corpses, plague remains. Beneath the helm, the cursed grin, for in death they shall begin. Rot and ruin, pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The Death Guard comes, none can stay. And neath the warp the souls are bound, to spread decay, to break the ground. Nurgle's gifts a putrid stain, a future where only disease remains. Rot and ruin, pestilence flows. With every breath the plague wind blows. Embrace the rot, let flesh decay. The Death Guard comes, none can stay. The rot spreads, there's no escape. The Death Guard seals your fate.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Discussing Resilient podcast, Christmas edition, hence the amazingly Christmas themed hat. We've all got Christmas jumpers on and Dave's obviously gone whole hog, gone to Narnia for us this episode.
Mr. Thomas is just over there somewhere.
He's gone through his wardrobe. Yeah, obviously we've got the three of us here. We thought instead of this Tuesday being Christmas Eve, we thought we'd get together on the Sunday, do a special Christmas episode. Obviously, Aidan normally has been doing the tiers on a Sunday. We'll obviously touch maybe perhaps a little bit on the new detachments, but I think Aidan was saying he's going to sort of wait a little bit, hold that one off, because there's only 3 more to come next week, and then sort of do the final tier with all 10. But I suppose, Aidan, you know, how have you been since you were last on? I know you and Dave have been on a lot more recently than I have.
Yeah, not too bad. To be honest, I've not done too much Warhammer. Been mad busy the last couple of days with like Christmas, commitments, going around shopping, getting bits and bobs, Christmas dues, all that stuff. So I've not had too much chance to sort of like sit down and do too much Warhammering. But I am eager as ever to discuss this very interesting set of player pack that we've got to help Dave with a bit here. And as Will said, we will continue the tier list once like you said, it's kind of just pointless for us to make a stream. I have to wait 2 days for the last 2. Plus World Eaters is tomorrow, and a lot of our fan base is Chaos players, and Chaos players tend to play Chaos armies, so I at least want to wait till we got at least World Eaters in there as well.
Yeah, it makes good sense. So just to sort of recap then, I mean, obviously Dave will do his bit now. So part of this episode is Dave is off to LVO, for those who don't know. Obviously, we've mentioned it previously. And we've been looking at the player pack, and sort of Dave's been thinking about lists, and because the train's odd for us in the UK, it's very different from what we're used to in terms of the L's and things we generally see at UKTC, Glass Hammer, and other events. So, so Dave, how have you been? Talk us through what you've been up to, and then obviously we can sort of start talking about the maps and some of your ideas for LVO, the things that you think are going to be, pros and cons for Death Guard and that map.
Yeah, thanks. So good to see you both, obviously, and everyone in chat. I've been good, thank you. Kind of finished work on Friday, but then I have someone's put a call in at Monday morning meeting, and even though I'm on PTO for 10 to 11, so I've got to kind of do that. But never mind. I played first game of a Crusade last night as well. So my club is doing a Crusade. One of the guys has put an enormous amount of work into a full narrative. And there's, I think, 5 Imperial players versus 5 Chaos players. So you have to write a 3,000 point list, and then the first two games, that's 750 points of that list, and it's like a landing on a planet. So I had my first 750 point game last night, which I've never played a 750 point game of Warhammer. And on a incursion size board as well, which is mad. So that was kind of fun. Pleased to say the Death Guard tabled the Salamanders turn 3. So
Nice.
managed to kind of pick up, but it was a fun game, and it's against a really good friend of mine. So it was a fun kickoff to the event. So that's kind of weird. That's kind of good. Looking at that, but obviously
just very quickly, Dave. I just want to point out for people who want to know how that Salamanders game went. For Dave, let me read the direct quote from WhatsApp. Plague bus go swoosh.
Yeah, it was a little bit. You have flamers, I have a plague bus. So yeah, it did work, and we talked about it last night, but a little bit on WhatsApp. But I definitely suddenly was like, oh yeah, here's my melter gun for my plague marines. That'll be massive AP because you're in contagion range. Oh, you don't get save. Okay, good. That's just gone straight through. And and his 10 plague marines charging 3 separate units, and his sustained. And lethals on 5s, and all those units are dead. So it was playing Plague Company again after having a gap, and playing Flyblade before that, and so it was quite nice to have those bits back, I have to say.
Oh, nice. So have you got any more games? So have you got any games good before LVO then, Dave? You
Yes.
Get some practice in, and
Yeah,
how do you think you're going to get in?
Might get one more game in. But the thing is if I playing Play Company, I know it inside out, right? I know Death Guard inside out, so I'm quite happy with that. I guess it's just the bit that's going to be interesting for this, with LVO literally looming on the horizon in 3 weeks, is the player pack. And I looked at that and was immediately going, oh Christ, I'm going to need to run Flyblown, because I need to get into there's some big distances to cover early on to get into the right places to sort of stage. But then once you're there and you want to start kind of fighting over the middle or those areas, then actually all the stuff that's in Plague Company is really, really good. Like being able to just like get sustained or extra AP, or immediately make stuff -1 toughness. So even if I was bringing in allies or something, I can up their AP effectively. Or so it's a really interesting one. So yeah, I put a couple of different lists together, and the guys in VT have got a view of what they think, the one that they think would be worst to face on the table. But obviously, I want to hear what you guys think. So yeah, I've kind of even got the player pack up, and then I guess there's a couple of lists to look at, and then we can chat about it and see what we think. And if anyone in the chat's got some opinions as well, feel free to chuck them in.
Yeah, and before we start, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. It helps us out massively.
Yeah. Aidan, do you want to do a quick chat roster? Hello.
With the chat people, yes. I'm going to quick check in with the chat. So hello to everybody in the chat at the moment. We've got Crucible, Strong Boy, Nurgle Matthew, Andreas Sanchez, Tell Flackenstein, Don Hooson, Nurgle Cultist Chris, Mikey Way Music Drive, and everyone else who hasn't obviously spoken yet. Thank you for tuning in so far. Like I said, feel free to hit that little like button. It does help us out quite a bit. How is everyone in the chat? We've got some comments like us. I'm guessing 3 filers to start the list, right? Don Hooson says, let's see what you're coming with. So he's looking forward to seeing it. A little compliment on the song, and then Andreas Sanchez said he did a 4v1 yesterday and made Papa Nurgle so proud. So well done for making Papa Nurgle proud.
Well And also, the little counter that's below the Disgusting Resilient podcast says quite a big number now.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? I forgot about
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's kind of turned over to number 8 at the front, hasn't it? So we have hit 8,000 subscribers. So thank you very much to everyone for
Thank you so much,
subscribing
everybody.
and getting us to that goal. Obviously, the next the next main goal is obviously the 10k mark, which is still a little bit off, but I'm very confident that we guys can reach it. And it's only from your guys' support in the chat that we will manage to reach that goal. So thank you so much for all your time tuning in and just engaging with the content. So thank you.
Quick funny one as well. So for as everyone knows, I have got to paint this thing, and I have ordered. I've sent the guys. I think I've dropped into the Discord as well. I've got paint coming. I've got brushes coming. They've been ordered. So that is it. Now I had a call with a friend of mine, James Otero, who is the owner of Siege Studios. For anyone who doesn't kind of recognise that name. And James is also a Golden Demon winner, and is in his own right a ludicrously good painter. And we were just having a catch up, and James went at the end of the call. I said, I went, "Oh, you'll never believe what I've got to paint something." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, at 707,777 subscribers, I said I would paint something, and we've obviously gone through that target now, so I've got to paint it. So I've got some paint and stuff coming." And I showed him. I was like, "And I've got to paint this." And he was like, "Just come down, and I'm not going to paint it for you, obviously, but like, if you want to sit with me and like, I will go. This is how you paint it." We could. So I might very well be going down to sit with the owner of these studios to paint this model, which doesn't mean it's going to be any better because I'm still the one painting it, but at least the colours might make sense, and that could be a better thing, and also be a nice bit of content for you guys to maybe see. So not saying that's definitely going to happen, but he did offer, so if I can get down there, I might do it there.
Yeah, and
Nice.
we did say that we were getting Tycho on last time. We had a bit of a rearrangement of schedule with that one because I think we got. I'm not sure if time zones are mixed up or something, but it kind of has been rescheduled.
It's all totally still happening. Yeah, we've messaged it. It's just it'll be in January.
Yeah. So apologies for the slight delay on that one, and we have got some videos to cover. This is probably going to be the last stream over the Christmas period, so just be aware of that. I've got some videos lined up that are going to be uploaded over the Christmas period on schedule, so you won't be fully out of content, but obviously there will probably be a slight lack of. I mean, I'll be back to do the tiered list stream, obviously, but for all three of us being back together, probably won't be till some point in the early January. So just be aware of that, guys. It's just a Christmas break, isn't it?
Exactly. Even Nurgle followers get Christmas.
Yeah, indeed. So shall we look at this player pack then?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah,
No,
let's open it up.
I've looked at it quite a bit, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of it. So
let's talk about the elephant in the room. LVO is previously, I believe it was the player place terrain, wasn't it? It was. And now they are no longer player place terrain, which is good because player placed is kind of ass, especially when you don't have all simultaneous terrain pieces. So they've changed it to GW terrain. But the interesting thing they've done is there is only 2 table layouts. The first day you are playing on Tipping Point for every game, and the second day you're playing on Crucible of Battle for every game. Which is interesting, and then it gets more interesting as you go on, and then it actually into the final cut it does change every game. But just having 2 layouts that's definitely a thing. That is Warhammer.
Very odd, isn't it?
that is Warhammer.
It is very odd. Now don't get me wrong, the missions do change, but to not have the map itself changes, just like Will said, just a little odd.
Especially certainly for us in the UK, where we get slightly different configuration, every round, so or a different deployment zone. So it's I wasn't expecting it to look like that.
Yeah, I think the one thing this does is it puts a lot more emphasis on. Normally, you have to be aware of terrain when you go into an event. This kind of doubles down on the issue because you're just playing on 2 terrain sets. It's not like you can play. Sometimes you build a list and it'll have one not so great layout, and you kind of hope you get a decent matchup on that one, and the rest you're fine. Whereas this is if you make a list that's bad for Tipping Point, you're going to lose day one pretty rough. So we need to sort of understand that. So I mean, that being said, let's have a scroll down here to the actual terrain set. So terrain packs, we know them. So this is day 1. So this is day 1 Tipping Point. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your initial thoughts on this one? So I'm going to zoom in for the chat. So do you want the we'll have the actual live table, the one with the actual terrain in the picture?
Yeah, I think what was interesting is actually go to the deployment zone. Actually, go to the deployment layout if you can, Aiden, and
Yeah.
um
Which one's the deployment layout?
a little bit further down.
Is it further down?
Uh,
Have you got
yeah,
a draw tool there
There
as
we go.
well,
Yeah.
Ed?
There we go. I'm not on here. I can take it into a different screen. So there's a deployment
Because what I
layout.
was going to say is you could maybe draw the lines of sight on, so like between the two terrain pieces, you can see
oh, this
where
is
the
there you
cover
go.
is.
Yeah, so page 11. Yeah. What's interesting here is you look at this and you go with the new detachment, you could quite happily deploy a load of really important units on the line and get straight into cover
Yes.
with scout. And if you go first, you could threaten that bottom kind of natural opponent's objective with Death Shroud moving 9 inches and potentially, and then having like sitting behind that cover and potentially having a charge in on turn one, like, or something like that, right? I'm not saying that's the right thing to do at all, or you would, but so I was nearly going. Actually, you could start to cover the mid board and sit on objectives, like sit on that kind of the home natural nest and go great, easy, easy in there. But when it then comes to then fighting around the middle or taking stuff out around that, like suddenly the Plague Company benefits, as we talked about a bit before we went live. When I played a Crusade game last night, I certainly appreciated having the Plague Company abilities back of the -1 save characteristic, the ability to put sustained on, and things like that. So that then feels like that's a much bigger, much more important element for basically for the main game. Other thing that doesn't help in this is Scout 6 on Cultist does not help in the slightest on either of these two maps because of the deployments. As in getting on, as in I can't turn one, flip and infect an objective. So does then, and what I'm not saying Cultists aren't useful, but they're not as useful because I can't do that. And even in certain bits here on this map, kind of move, so scout, move, and advance is kind of helpful, like, but it's not as useful as it is on some of the UKTC terrain. For just tying someone in behind the middle objective of it, because there's easier ways to come around it. It looks like to me.
There we go.
And then the final kind of immediate thought was that the thought to take 3 predators is probably the right thing to do. Like that cross-board shooting in, especially and I think for day 2 as well, that really helps. And the other thing I would add before we go, I guess you guys start asking some questions or I get your thoughts, is looking at the meta at the moment. I'm expecting, especially with Marines and Ultramarines being super, super strong, and with some of the other detachments that have come, I'm expecting to see a lot of infantry on the tables. So I'm certainly thinking about teching for infantry, not for dealing with vehicles. So Predator Destructors with Plague Heavy Bolters on them is probably what I'm looking at.
So just in response to the meta thing, because this is probably a good place to start with the conversation. So I played the new Custodes attachment the day, and they are not infantry anymore at all. Now, Custodes in the past have had a prevalence when they're good, everyone gets them out, but presumably that's because the infantry's cheap. As soon as you have to run Cladices and the Dreadnoughts, obviously the other end of the scale, and it's like some of the most expensive models you can buy. But what do we think? I mean, I've seen people tier Custodes quite highly. I mean, are they going to be around? Because if they're going to be around, that's a completely different meta thing. So instantly, do you know what I mean? Like, are we sort of... I know infantry's going to be everywhere, but do we need to sort of... I feel, as you already are, I'm sure, I feel like vehicles, you can't forget about them either. I feel like...
No, of course you can't.
Especially at LVO, where it's going to be... Because it's going to be like London, isn't it? Like, I haven't played London for a couple of years, but my experience of London is every army is there, and the reality is on the mid-tables, it's so random what you play against.
It is, yeah.
So I feel like, do you want to sort of assume that infantry's there, or is it better just to sort of go mixed arms and go, you put knights in front of me, I've got some tools, you put infantry in front of me? Because it really is, we don't struggle to kill infantry. We are one of the armies in the game that is best to kill infantry. So if we tech into that, we are. So I don't know. I mean, it's a question rather than a statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It is completely. And the other thing, kind of is going in is it's also, there's a couple of weird things with LVO, especially when you're flying there, is you can't just take anything you want, because like I don't really want to pack 6 Predators and then Mortarion, and like that starts to get to be a struggle to even get it there. So there's a kind of a weird thing with that. And then I think so I mean, this is why it's useful having Don in the chat as well. Is you know, there's like having lots of Necrons there, but also you know, the Predator autocannons are still strength 9. You know, they are going to be, they are flat 3 damage, so there is actually quite an ability to do damage like you're not going to be killing knights and stuff, but you know, things that are on bikes, things that are, you know, kind of just mounted, stuff like that is going to go down to it. You're going to shred kind of rhinos, things like that with it. And the plague heavy bolters, remember, are sustained and lethal. You know, and if you've got 3 of them, you're shooting a lot of shots. Not saying it's exactly the right answer, which is why we're doing kind of this kind of chat as well. Yeah, it's going to be so this player pack threw up a lot of questions.
I mean, so in terms of the player pack, I mean, from the mission, the terrain I play, and I don't know if you're second this or not, Aidan, it's very similar to what you see on the WTC terrain formats, because there are a couple of clubs around us who do have the WTC terrain, so it looks very similar, more like those maps where there is. When you play on them, and like that's what I was saying to Wayne, if you start actually marking the lines up, there is actually more. The cover is deceptive, if that makes sense. There's more places to stage and hide than you think when you play on these kind of boards a couple of times. Like I can see a couple of places instantly, but they are also very limited. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Dave. It's getting there. Like a lot of armies, just you know, they can cover that ground, but we can't. You know, we're one of those armies where we have to be in a position where we can get there. You have to deploy with the assumption of how you're going to sort of move turns 2 and 3, don't you? You know, we're not like other armies at Eldar where you can deploy and go. I'm just going to make sure everything's hidden, and then we'll worry about the movement later because I cannot just get anywhere I want to. So yeah, so what are you looking at as a core then, Dave? I mean,
well, I was going to say, Aidan, what was your view on the kind of?
Oh, sorry,
Aidan, you had a quick look.
So the only thing I'm checking out right now is these little bits of ruin here. Oh, you can see where I'm marking
the little rectangles.
Yeah, on these 2 terrains up here, it looks like you can drive through this. I mean that's just one giant square.
So containers. It says believe it says that infantry can move through them.
Right. So there is actually difference then between the layouts.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So if you look at the layouts, right, there's different terrain sets on different used. I think there's 3 or 4 different terrain sets for day 1 and 3 or 4 different terrain sets for day 2, and they are laid out slightly differently.
Oh, okay, so the boards are
themed. So if you get terrain pack 1 on day 1, game 1, you set it up a certain way. If you get terrain pack 4 on day 1, game 1, it could be different.
Oh, I don't like that.
It feels very. It's very WTC.
I think there's actually pictures. If you scroll down, you can see the different layouts.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, I don't like them. Yeah, because I mean, like, it really depends. Like, because if that's just one long piece compared to this like almost L shape we have here, that changes like staging positions quite a bit. I mean, it doesn't seem too horrible.
And also, if you're off the back of the pieces, they're ruins, right? So if you're off the back of, if you're not on the area,
you can't get shot.
You still got line of sight blocking.
Yeah,
but where it's kind of useful is where you've got a green line on something. It is less than 2 inches.
Yeah, your vehicles can move straight through.
You can go straight through it. Yeah. So actually, there is an ability to stage something like a Rotigus, like a War, like a Carnivore, like whatever, and just go straight through it. In a direct line. And also if you've got your vehicles like Predators or whatever, they can be sat off the back of it, but you can touch on or get into that area piece and then start shooting out of it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about, because I mean, first thing to consider is obviously meta and what we're expecting to see. Star Shitter Arsenal's obviously going to be popular on this one. Being able to move through like these walls just means like they can move through here, get angles, they move down here and get an angle. Can obviously just come through straight wall. So like Silent King, for example, can like deploy like here, just move to them, and next turn move for a wall and be on center point. You can, even if he's ballsy, you can just deploy here because again, actually you can deploy here because you shoot him once he reactive moves and goes behind here, and you're not going to one tap him. Which is pretty great.
When I look at these maps, by the way, I think these actually are the WTC maps, are they?
No, they are different.
Gridded ones. It's just the ruins where it's like they're. You know the ones on them at the bottom where it's just grids. That's the WTC terrain with the little like pokey bits out. Those images look like they're grabbed from their pack anyway. So maybe
this is a WTC pack. That's WTC, which is actually
some of them are ported over.
They are using some. Now, I mean, I think you can do well with. I think Play Company's fine. I think there's still plenty of good staging places here. Obviously your giant big L's your main one, and
Yeah, of course.
you need to hold this with something. The question is obviously not too much can hold on to it, which makes you want to bring some actual OC. So probably you actually want to bring some Plague Marines along,
Yeah,
possibly, or
I'm
just
thinking
something.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of why. So what I started these looking at, right, was I chucked a couple of lists into the. So it was the list that I chucked into. Don't build it yet. Just for conversation, but was one was Morty Typhus, triple 6-man DST, two LOCs, a sorcerer, Tallyman, 20 pox, 10 pox, three predator destructors, and a blight hauler was the one that the guys actually all liked the most in Vanguard Tactics. So that's coming from like people like Ben Jones going like that's what I think is the nastiest thing. Other options were things like two pred destructors, blight hauler, 2 times 20 pox, 2 times 6 DSTs, 1 times 10 BLTs. This was Flyblown, Tallyman, LOV, LOC, Sorcerer, Typhus, Morty. More units, more coverage on the board, more mission play. Third option was a bit mad. It was Morty, Roticus, 6 Preds, 30 Cultists, 10 Fight First Plague Marines, Nurglings, and the Plague Bus. Which was just kind of a bit of I chucked that in for a bit of a laugh. But so the starting place is probably Morty Typhus, tripled 6-man brick, Sorcerer, Tallyman, 2 Lord of Contagions, 20-man pox, 10-man pox, 3 Predator Destructors, and the Blight Hauler. It's probably the start point. But I agree with you. I think I actually think a Plague Bus with 5 Marines in it might be a good idea.
So
with the go on, so just you go first, Dean. Go on, I'll ask my question.
So just for me personally, the problem I've got here is, so obviously you can secure your own pretty easily. You just come into here, whatever. Attacking mid's not an issue. You got a massive staging point. The main thing's going to be how are we going to take them off their natural? Because usually Warhammer tends to come down to who can disrupt this one more. A lot of Death Guard games anyway. Obviously you can stage a little bit behind here, but not too much, and you're going to get shot from down here as well. If you take that. Flyblown, I don't know unless you get first turn, because as soon as a scout stops, you're like, this is a lot of ground to cover. Especially if you get your scout there. Now, if you get scout, you get Nurglings there or whatever, and you get scout, brill. But if you don't, that's kind of risky. The only good thing about that, though, is if you do get first turn, you do get scout like the mid board here, because you go first. The shooting angles to get you back as soon as you're like on this wall bit here are actually quite harsh, because they have to like, it's basically just this angle here from down bottom. Can't shoot through the wall. Trying to shoot down the top's nearly impossible because the cut-off point's here. So, it's... I don't actually know...
I know exactly what you mean, and this is also why I'm thinking that you've got to have firepower in this list as well, is because if you do go... If you push out and people try to develop firing lanes on you and they stick their noses out, then you absolutely have got to have something that can hit back against those things and just go... Like, you know, if you try and get a line of sight on these guys, then you're doing it knowing full well that I've got something that's just going to hit you back real hard.
That's true.
That makes good sense.
So, I mean, let me just put this in a sec. So, like, one thing, like, because whenever I'm looking at a map, my whole thing in my thought process is, what do I do to break this for a turn? Like, I need to just break the natural for one turn. Because normally, if I put, like, 10 Plague Marines who fights first on my objective, it doesn't tend to get broken that often. Because 20 OC.
Just for the chat as well, so for guided block, what is the Plague Bus? The Plague Bus is a Rhino with 2 malignant plague casters in it, so that you use the firing deck 2, and therefore you get their witch fire attack in the Rhino, which turns it into basically a mini flame tank, but it's very, very good.
One thing I would say here as well, when we're talking about this and holding objectives, 10 Plague Marines fight first won't work on this board because the footprint's too big to stage anywhere. Like, you'll have them poking out into the 5-in lanes. So I would instantly forget about that if you're planning to do it to hold objectives. Like, you could maybe do a little 5-man where you give everyone a combat and the fight first guy. That might work. Then it's a lot of points for that one little trick.
You could do 5-man and a standard bearer, making them 15 OC.
See, I would say the issue with the 5-man, the 15 OC doesn't. I would say it's irrelevant in the sense of they're just dead. Like, as soon as anything sees them, touches them, they're just dead. The only way the 5, I tried the 5-man a while ago with a 5-power blight spot, and it did work better than what you think because you can't trade into it with another 5-man Space Marine squad. But as soon as anyone's like commit to anything real, they're just gone.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? So I think, because we talked about this before, and obviously Aidan, you can chip in here. There are some places to hide. So obviously you talk about nights where you just have to tow a tiny bit of the base on, and you might be able to think. Then we also talk about things like Rotigus, where it's maybe okay, so it's you can see it, but can you kill it? And then back to the predators returning fire. So it's just a sort of, obviously I'll let you two continue with what
No,
you're
no, it's
saying. I
fine,
just wanted to interject and say the 10 plague marines. I can instantly see this, having played on the WTC boards. The footprint's too big to actually use them the way we traditionally use them on UKTC or Glasshammer. So unfortunately, I'd say that's out. I mean, there's nothing to say you can't just have them anyway, and just have them staging in the corner, and you'll use them as a damage threat, and sort of try and flip the center objective, or have them as soon as someone comes and you flip it off them a turn. But I think they've got a different role to what we would expect to see them on UKTC, for example.
See, what I'd personally do here is if I'm trying to break this for a turn, let's just say, so can we just assume this other predator up here is their predator? It's like their long range anti tank thing, yeah.
Sure.
The angle this thing wants to take is like down the middle here, yeah. So the problem is nobody likes taking shots first. So I reckon if you deploy in a way where you've got, like, say Morty's like behind here staging whatever, so he can push later turns into the center. If you deploy like predators with Morty, like 1-2, so again these guys can drive onto here and shoot through and up, or they can drive this angle here. This is the most important angle here. What this means is that your opponent isn't going to want to put his tank here, because that means you get first shots. You come out and take first shots, yeah? In doing so, what you actually do is you buy this space here. You buy this space. Now, people aren't going to let you deep strike within 9 of this if they have a brain. So probably what you do is you use something to fight for this space, whether that's like put your Nurglings here first, something like that, and they can just like push back someone, doesn't matter if they die or whatever. But the main thing is, if you deny the anti-tank looking down this angle, you can straight Plague Bust in Strategic Reserve, Rapid Ingress that bad boy in right there, because again, you've kept them hiding, because they're like, oh, I don't want to poke out and get shot for free, so they won't poke out, they're waiting for you to poke out. You're not actually trying to poke out, you're just trying to buy space for this thing to come in. This thing then, because it's Rapid Ingress in your turn, then drives straight over this terrain, because it can, drops off 5 Marines and flames whatever the shit was hiding and holding it. There's 1 turn of disruption guaranteed. And if the Plague Marines get out, and they're hidden against this wall cleverly here, and you can potentially keep 10 OC on that point, which means it's quite hard to take back, especially then if you have the Plague Bust there, which then needs to be, obviously, that needs to be killed as well. So I think Plague Bust is genuinely like really going to be good on this terrain.
I think it probably is.
You can also use defensively. Like imagine someone staging here with a really scary unit. You just do the same as Rapid Ingress here and just go choo choo. How you doing, boys? And then you flame off.
Yeah, many times I've dropped a like you said, you drop that thing in and you're like, okay, I'll delete that thing that's just holding this point or is trying to burn something or. Yeah, I think the more I've looked at it, I think the Plague Bust has definitely got to be in there.
I genuinely think Play Company's going to be better on this because
I think so. It is.
I don't think Flyblown needs you to basically be the way Flyblown wins is getting onto this objective here, your own, this objective which is theirs, staying on theirs for about 3 turns before you die, and then center you just don't let anyone have. You don't really fight for it, but you don't let them have it for free.
Yeah, you basically you don't want to come onto it either.
But I think this journey from here to here, with only this to hide behind, is just like, because as just someone Flyblowns against you and you're here, you just go cool, pred, Morty, and just fire down like mad endlessly.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a Flyblowns kind of world, to be honest. And then obviously, if you bring Heavy Death Shroud, you obviously can go like turn 1, you can move advanced to get to like here. That's still pretty safe from your firing angles, so you can actually deploy that unit on foot pretty safely. It's the other 2 though. Where did the other 2 go? Is the question for the 18 Death Shroud build? Because again, this is dead. This is death. 1 in Rapid Ingress obviously makes sense because they can come in wherever they get a point. I don't know if 18 Shrouds to build.
Yeah, and this was the other kind of bit. So I mean, I think what I then ended up looking at was if we took
just when you're looking for that, Dave,
yeah,
I wanted to so with the Plague Bust then, because I feel like there's a logical next step here, because we've talked this for previous episodes. The Plague Bust works best when you have a second Rhino. So the first one goes, they get out, they get in. So does that sort of incentivise putting a second Rhino and maybe some Plague Marines in that Rhino. So you've kind of got, you can poke it out, Plague Bus dies, you know, lock and reload, Plague Bus 2's ready to go. Is that a consideration, do you think?
Like, make a Rhino in this spot here is a great board control piece because no one can realistically touch the centre.
Somebody get a shot on it, yeah, unless you, yeah.
You can launch up behind this terrain here, and you can even potentially, like, you basically guarantee something needs to stay 1 inch away from this wall here to stop you just flinging out 8 and charging the home objective. I mean, it's if there was a spot for a Rhino want to be staged, like, again, you can like, deploy here and then just move and advance it behind this bit, and then it's pretty safe. And then next turn, you can like, just get in your proper positions.
Was that a hypothetical Rhino on the board and one in the reserve? Like,
well, the strategic reserve is really only if you feel like you're going to need to break it.
If you need it, yeah.
If you need to break it, because again, if they don't have tons of screening stuff, you can just play like forward with like, again, like your predators can like maybe a bit more aggressive, like put a predator here so it can fire down here. So if anything tries to stage behind here, you can just kind of pick it up. And I mean, if they don't have much shooting as well, like feel free to like put a mortar here and just start pressuring this straight away at the bottom.
Yeah, more kind of go. There's a big enough gap between the kind of once just going diagonally through that terrain through the 2 HPs anyway, and just like getting threatening the middle as well. It's quite easy with Morty from there.
So that leads to the next question. So Morty's in the list, and is Morty fixed? Because looking at these lists as well, Morty's never holding an objective and being out of line of sight because of his wings. Like he's never going to be able to stand anywhere and not have his wing either hanging over the terrain.
No, I agree. I think what he said.
So
yeah.
that might be completely fine because we all know Morty is quite good at the moment, but it's just a consideration. Is he definitely in there? Morty's kind of.
I think Morty's biggest problem is going to be Ultramarines with the new oaths. They just delete him, but at the same time, it's like, what can you do about that? There's genuinely not much you can do about that.
And also, I'd quite like Morty just being able to ignore Armor of Contempt.
Yes.
And give reroll ones. Especially with 3 predators.
That being said, with Arm of Contempt, I don't think you need to worry about it anymore. Because remember, they can only put it once now. The change.
Yeah,
if you shoot your first predator, the other 2 are fine.
Yeah, but
so like it's only actually benefiting one instance.
Yeah, it is. But there's also things like damage reduction. If you come up against a list that's got that, you can ignore.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Like, his actual improvement to ignore mods is still massive for 300 points, plus the ability to reroll ones to wound. Or give cover to something that's hanging out in the open, perhaps potentially, or to boost contagion range. Another. So I think his abilities are still worth having in. And then, if you get to a point where you're both running low on units, then actually throwing him out into the board to then kind of turn 3-ish to go and sit on something, or to just be like, okay, I'm actually going to relieve something else that's on that point. Or flip it, or something. If someone's only got 5 OC on it, or something, or I think his value is still good. For me, he should definitely be in there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, because obviously the gaps in the terrain, like Aidan said, he can drive things straight over and run knights straight over. He's really good to stage on this board as well. I don't think he can hold an objective and be out of line of sight, but at the same time, he can stand in a threatening position and sort of like get to. At least the centre and the expansion objective within 1 turn and have a really realistic charge, it looks like. So I think for that reason, I think it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, so given what we just talked about there, so I ended up looking at basically like as another starting point, Morty Typhus, Plague Bus, 1 LOC, 1 Sorcerer, 5 Plague Marines, 2 units of 10 Culto, 3 Predator Destructors, 2 6-man Dash Shroud, 1 20-man Pox, and I had a Carnivore in there at this point. But I think 3 Predators and Morty is a foundation.
So it's a Carnivore, because obviously we talked about it in chat, we kind of alluded to before. So you mentioned he can stage, he can use his movement, he can just toe onto the inside of the objective out of line of sight and put 8 OC. Reliable. So he's not necessarily there to do damage, he's literally there. It's 8 OC. To get a line in, you have to come pretty close or actually engage him in combat. And at
which point you're exposing yourself to shooting back.
Yeah, you have to commit a real unit to deal with it. You can't just sort of, I mean, obviously you can put 10 cultists there to put 2 OC on it, but you can't do that forever. Eventually you're going to have to sort of put something big into him.
So what's that? Morty triple Predator Destructor.
Yeah, I think that's the starting point. Like I said, open up on the angry type. I'm kind of not. at the moment, loadout wise, we can worry about later. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
those to start with, and then yeah, I mean, from a screening perspective, that deployment zone is pretty big. It's even bigger on on day 2. I think 20 Poxwalkers is probably a good option.
I mean, 20 Poxwalkers is, as we sort of discovered when we took it to Leicester, the fact that it also makes opponents keep Cull the Horde is surprisingly it's surprisingly meaningful. Like, I didn't expect it to be as meaningful as what it would be. It either forces opponents to burn a CP or to actually really commit into the Poxwalkers. So I don't think it's a bad shout at all.
I'm trying to think, though, where does the Poxwalkers get the value here?
Yeah, I mean,
They're not just screening the home field. They're not just literally just filling it. So you have one unit, the whole space is just covered, and then they just stand there and they don't do anything all game apart from that.
If you,
Then
it
you
depends.
can push your whole army forwards.
If you're in the instance you used earlier, Aidan, where there was two predators kind of at the bottom, like, I'm not saying that's 100% right. What you can usually do with 3 predators that are sitting back and just developing firing lanes and shooting on UKTC terrain, for example, is they can pretty much screen out your deployment zone. From everything, right? So you then don't need another unit in. I guess it depends on whether we or not that, because you're right that making that middle a death zone to put something in is really probably quite important. So yeah, it's kind of I think having that ability to kind of not be restricted to having them have to sit in the deployment zone all the time, or to be that they can at some point move out a bit further, is an option. I was looking at them from a screening out my deployment zone perspective, but
yeah, that's fine. I don't.
so that
think
can be
you're gonna
done.
get-
That can be done. That could be done by a couple other units. But I guess the question is are 2 units of 10 cultists floating around at the back better than 1 unit of 20 Poxwalkers?
Or 1 Tallyman and 1 unit of Nurglings, or 1 Tallyman and 1 unit of something. Because the Tallyman is also something to consider. The reason I'm saying that is I was looking at your list before and I was thinking, I actually think I'm going to rob it for teams because I really liked the version that you sent. But I think you're very low on mission play with some of the lists you've talked about, whereas I think all of a sudden the Tallyman, he might be useful even if you use it to get 2 extra CP just to redraw a couple of cards and just help you sort of stay honest on the secondaries. Because if you end up with a really compact list, it's really like killy.
Quick check of the
You might end up in a position where you fall behind on secondaries. So I think the Tallyman,
Yeah.
depending on where the list finishes, if you end up with loads of like hard hitting bricks, he might actually be worth bringing in just to keep you sort of in the game on secondaries, just to redraw anything, anything that you don't want to, like, for example, we both took it to Leicester, and I had a game where I ended up like I held all the middle. I drew containment, but I was holding the middle with flipping Death Shroud and stuff. Like nothing had the movement
No
to
chance
get
of
to a
getting
board
this
edge.
game,
Yeah, I had the units, just didn't have the movement.
Yeah.
Whereas it was really frustrating because that 6 points could have swung the game. But so maybe the Tallyman is worth it just for that reason alone. If we end up with a very compact, bricky list, is something to consider. And at that point, it's a Tallyman and something else. Obviously, he's at one point either could be a squad of Nurglings, could be, it probably depends on where the points fall, isn't it? Because he kind of fills that awkward kind of 45 points left, 60, whatever. So yeah, it's a consideration. It's something that I thought was worth mentioning. So what have we got at the moment then? What are we? Oh, Aidan or Davey, what have we got locked in, and how many points is it? Because that might be a good.
So at the moment, I've only got Morty and the Triple Predators. So what we definitely bring in? You definitely bring in some Death Shroud, yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely at least 1 6 brick.
Yeah, 1 6 brick.
Yeah, I think they're too good at the moment not to.
Yeah.
And is it Typhus and Morty? Is it the same as Typhus too good not to have him, or is it Sorcerer?
I think you take Typhus.
Have the -1.
I think you take him anyway because I'm not even saying he's there to. He should always be there as an option to run solo. I find just him dropping in and just doing an action, or him dropping in and just picking off those. Like if you looked in that. It's just a simple example, but that game I played against Steve, where the last 3 wounds I needed to pick up off that flyer, speeder, was just Typhus was like bam gone.
Yeah, it's really it's super good to have for 80 points.
We all have such my Typhus never does that. I had a game when I played Nids this week. First time he popped out to poke the last wound off whatever. He had 2 wounds left. The big G sealer guy rolled a 1, did 3 wounds to himself. So something else did. The guy was after one wound, rolled the one again, and killed himself. What's the fucking point in that? Like, Mac Typhus
Because you
does
talk so
that so
much trash about him in general, like he's just like.
Yeah. Whereas the sorcerers have yet to roll a 1 on the -1, but Typhus consistently rolls 1s.
Question for you both, which could be another easy ad, is Nurglings.
I
I
feel
know.
like 1 unit in Nurglings is kind of essential, either just to hold a bit of the board or stop a scout, or even if it's to make sure you can get your scouts. Say for example, a game plan relies on your cultist scouting onto onto an objective.
Are you
Just
playing
put them where you
Terraform?
guarantee the scout.
That's my question.
Yes.
Are you playing
No.
Terraform?
And this is the other question, is looking at. So if you go back to the top, there's
The ritual. Americans, are you
Yeah,
serious?
I know. Right, tell me about it.
There is a terraform, so yeah, that instantly makes me want to take Nurglings because you don't want someone just terraforming your
easy.
objective turn 1.
Yeah, and also the other thing is there's a couple of missions across this where battle line, like raise banners and terraform. So if I don't take some plague marines, I can't do raise banners. If I don't take plague marines, I can't advance and do an so not do an advanced action, that's swift action. It's swift actions in here as well, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Yeah,
So
we've got
Anyone
control.
can raise banners, can't they? What, just
No,
have
it
to
has
be
to be battle
line?
line.
has to be battle line. Yeah.
Oh wow!
And-
That's
and
because
it's,
we never see that mission in the
And
UK.
swift actions in there as well, which is obviously advance and still do actions. So that's a potential interesting one, and you need battle line for that. And we've only got plague marines.
Yeah, I'm hoping the Codex Poxwalk could become battle line again, just as a pure wish list moment there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
okay.
not. It's not even. Yeah. But anyway, so back to the list. Sorry, I don't want to end up
Yeah.
going down the side.
No.
there.
So,
Codexes.
Aiden, your view on Nurglings?
Yeah, terraform exists.
Yes,
you
I
need
agree.
one unit.
Yeah.
You just
Okay,
need
cool.
one
Let's
unit.
put them in.
Yeah, and if you end up with an awkward points at the end, I think there might even be an argument to take him as a 6-man. If you end up with that awkward 30 points where you kind of like, do you know what I mean? Like making a 4-man to a 6-man for 30 points extra. There's quite a lot of play with 6 that 3 can't do, I think. But we'll talk about that at the end if we end up with an awkward points amount to,
Yeah.
where we have to
Tom
put some options
Godetti
forward.
says Brigands are also battle line. Just saying.
True.
Yeah, so huntsmen, so carnivores, so everything apart from a stalker in the war dog world is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's also, I mean, you could take plague bearers.
That's what
I don't
Mikey's
know
just
if
said in chat as well.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Play
don't know
bears,
if I would
play
play
bears for
plague
Flyblown,
bears.
not for Play Company.
Yeah, and also I try and play. I like to try and play as pure a Death Guard as I can.
So I mean, right now we've got more E-Plague Bus, Triple Predators, and Nurglings, and 6 Death Shroud. You still like
got to go in there.
You've got typhus on there as well, yeah.
Yeah, we've got Typhus. Do you need
Is,
Plague Marines?
Well, this is the thing. I think when you've got the plague bus, I think you want a second rhino.
I think
I
it's
think you want a second rhino, and then that's maybe where the
Funny thing is, you can actually run a. It starts to get a bit point, but you can actually run the equivalent of a second plague bus with the 3rd Plaguecaster and a Foulblight
Foulblight
Spawn, or a 5-man Plague Marine unit with a Plague Sprayer in it, a Plague Spear.
so.
I think at that point though, you end up just with, because the plague bus is good, but there are some matchups where it's.
I'm not saying I'm just mean you can't be. What you can do is you can run 2 of them that way. But I think I think there's because the characters are not attached, because the Plaguecasters are not attached to the 5-man Plague Marine unit. You do have the option to start them not in it because the Plaguecasters start in.
I feel like maybe it's 2 5-man plague marine squads in a rhino, and it's the rhino starts out just as a launching pad to get them an extra 3-inch move to get to the middle objectives. Flip it twice because you've got them, and then if the plague bus dies, you've then got a second rhino to go pick up the sorcerers, and plague bus 2, rolls off.
But
And does a thing again. I don't know if that's
my issue with staging Rhino to flip objectives is where does it stage? There's nowhere good stage. If you go here, you can't launch to there, and you can't launch to there from here.
I think the Plaguecasters
you
got
kind of really, yeah. I don't know actually. No, you could stage it.
Where at?
It just drives through the gap between the two. Oh, I suppose that gap isn't on all of them, though, is it?
What, this one?
Like
here?
in the corner, like the Super L, it looks like there's a gap between the 2 terrain pieces, unless you play that as a touch.
Yeah, in the Super L, you can just drive it through that. The walls are only 2 inches tall anyway.
Yeah, because you could just drive it through there and drive it to the middle, like you used to on UKTC. Then have
But if you
Rhino
start,
staging in the middle, which is pretty strong.
But if you start it on the terrain piece of the Super L in the deployment zone, then it's visible.
So you wouldn't just put it in the corner, so it's kind of like on your
Yeah,
home
you could,
field.
but then 12 inches is going to get you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think it's just off.
You don't need to flip the middle with Plague Marines. You can just put your Predators in and just shoot the shit out of anything that comes into the middle.
Oh, but what I mean is you can put the Rhino, if you stage the Rhino in the middle, like, because you roll in advance as well, don't forget, it's moving 13 minimum.
So you're saying
Stage
Rhino
in the
here
middle.
behind the cell?
Yeah, see, I haven't got YouTube up because it crashes my.
Yeah.
The Super L where your home is, you start the Rhino there, it moves into the centre L.
Yeah.
And then stages there, and then you can either go to. You've got the centre and one of the expansions to sort of just for the Plague Marines to threaten.
Yeah,
I mean, it might be way away from the Sorcerers at that point, so you might not be the second.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think you're
just...
gonna get to recycle it, but it's not like the 2 Rhinos is a bad idea. I just don't think you're gonna get, because the reason it works on UKTC is you can have your Rhino basically just so you can have a Rhino disembark, move, advance the guys out. They'll get to the point they want to anyway, and then this middle L here. Basically, you can put a Rhino like here. You can drive around the corner, flame stuff off the middle, still within 3 inches of the wall. So when it dies, they get behind the wall again, and then embark on the second Rhino. There's not really much you can do here because you have to drive your Rhino like to here to get shots onto the middle, and then like when it dies, where do they go? They can't get out here. They can't get out behind here because
You'd have to put.
Go on.
You'd have to put both Rhinos in the big Super L, wouldn't you, on your home field? One drives out, the other goes to the stage with the other one was, and then it drives out. But then, you're right, if someone can pop the Rhino and then kill the contents, you do have to the other Rhinos.
I think the question is, do you want a second 6-man Death Stroke? Because if you want second 6-man, one can start on the board and they can move and advance into this figure.
And the other one sits in rapid ingress.
Probably. Or
I
you can
think
go
a second
3-man.
6-man's probably pretty.
I think it would be that. I think the Rhino, the second 6-man's in there. Sorry, Hugh in chat said, "What? No double Gatling cannon despoiler." I actually one of the first lists I put. I actually was like, 3 Predators is 5 points more than a double Gatling cannon or double battle cannon despoiler, which actually on this terrain is quite funny.
Would be really good on this. I mean, this is a bit wacky. A Lancer would be really good on these boards.
What do you mean? The thing we can't have?
We can have a Lancer.
You mean Ziggler?
Sorry, you mean a Night Lancer?
A Night Lancer.
Yeah.
Because he's got the move, he can stage, and he can just run through all the walls. And its base is big, but it's big enough to always be in cover. I mean, you might not be able to hold on the objectives, but and then that's the kind of threat where it's like what Morty used to be.
I'd want
where
guns,
you step
I think.
in this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I think
the problem
we're
is
kind of going into silly skew builds.
Your Lancer can't deploy on this terrain against the wall there because it's so tall it'll get shot.
Yeah.
You'd have to be back here, and then you're losing like 10-inch movement there. It's just nah. And
Yeah,
it goes forward and it dies. Like Night Lancers always just do that. They go in, kill someone, and die.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's more just it's a silly. We're starting to make a silly skew list at that point as well.
So
it's not.
yeah, look, guys, I think also just go. We're almost at an hour. as much as I can say, I want to make sure we talk about all this. I want to give everyone I've spent 3 hours talking about one list for it. But so I think if we go 2 Deshra bricks,
two 6-mans or a 6 and a 3.
I'd run 2 6.
Right, you like 2 6, okay.
Second
character sorcerer, I'm guessing.
Lord of Contagion for one of them, and sorcerer. We'll do sorcerer for the second. Try to get the points.
Because your sorcerer one could be the one that stages behind the L because they've got more chance of getting charged.
Yeah, exactly, and then they can do +1 damage.
Yeah, so you've still got 395 points left.
How many?
Okay.
For how much? 395.
395, yeah. So you got 2 big swords, 6.
395. Okay.
You've got 8 plates, but there's nothing on it.
Okay.
I think we need to start off thinking about the mission. What's going to go off and do some secondaries? Like,
we need trash.
Couple of drones. Yeah. For example, we haven't got the cultists in yet, have we? I guess it's
there's no cultists and there's no plague marines.
Two squads of cultists, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I had in the list.
Yeah, I like 2 squads.
I think it's got to be at least 2, 3 if you can. But I understand if it's 50 points, you need to cut. The third one's the first one you lose, isn't it?
Yeah. Hang on. Keep going, guys. Sorry, Death Guard Cat is meowing the crap out of my window. Hold on.
I think this wants some cheap demon engines, to be honest.
So this is where we'll have to wait to get, because I'm the more I play the Blight Haulers, the more I'm seeing the value in them. But I'm also seeing how restrictive their range is. I'm finding them really like them. But then the bloat drones, the base size might be really important here, because on those boards where there's kind of like the crates, you know, where the objects are right against the board edge, pretty much. And there's a very slim line to hide in. The base size might come into play, and then I think the Blight Haulers, I know the base is marginally bigger, but that size might just put you into the firing lane. So I think you might want to look at least one bloat drone, possibly, just to hold that really awkward objective on the. Is it the very first map, isn't it, on day one?
I'm just thinking,
You know what I mean?
what holds this top point here? That's the problem. What holds this?
And what the top objective marker?
Yeah, your natural. What holds it?
Yeah. So this is where I was thinking that, like, the list that I sent, the list I sent with the 2 carnivals in it, was that one of those touches onto that, and you have basically a predator sat behind the big ruin behind it, or even to basically go like, okay, well, if you drop stuff out of line of sight to come and try and deal with it, or come around the corner, there's either 6 Death Shroud floating nearby, or a predator that's sitting at the top. To basically gun into that as well, and that's you've also got to commit something quite heavy to come and kill it.
Yeah,
And that's kind of that's why my thinking was looking at this map with that with 8OC with a fast move. Also, if it can be relieved by something else like some cultists move onto it, and then you want to chuck it out for delaying tactic, or to go and intercept a unit that's coming that way, you've got the option to do it because of its 14-inch move.
to be fair, having an OC8 unit, because you can only tippy toe like a couple of units on this. Having an OC8 from tippy toeing behind the L is actually going to be huge for holding this. Like personally, my brain is like, I'd probably swap the Death Shroud for fight to those play rings, because then if someone does decide to charge it and kill it, you heroic onto it, fight first, kill it. It keeps him safe, which means the only way to kill the carnivore safely is for someone to put a vehicle like here, and then try and go here, and once again, if you're already fighting for this angle with 2 predators, the second they set that up to go kill the carnivore next turn, you go hello and you kill it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But there's nothing that firing angle across the middle of the diagonal is huge. Like there's pretty much nothing going to stand on that objective, even right up against the wall, and be safe. Like I said, I think you could maybe back of the base on the board edge, tucked right into the corner. You might get like a bloat drone just outside the firing lane at a really awkward point, or a Beast of Nurgle could also, because it's on the same size base. They were the 2 things, because I think a Knight and I think a Blight Hauler are probably, even at the base of the back of the board, are too big. So then,
like Aiden
said, if you play it in trade,
terrain, yeah, it's not actually that picture we're looking at is very misleading, Dave.
It's very deceptive, yeah.
And the worst bit is they're different on each one.
Yeah,
that's Jesus Christ.
It's not even.
I'm thinking of this because they're a lot like WTC and all this stuff, because the Northern Warlords guys do teams at Element. We normally play in them, and it's the same. You can generally, like I say, base right against the back of the board, right into the corner, like I don't know what size it is, but like a bloat drone size base. Usually, you can just about close the lane off. Like, do you know what I mean? Without having to sort of come past the centre to get the line. But anything bigger than that.
Can you see the stream, Dave?
Yeah, I'm watching it.
If you get this terrain set here, the carnival's perfect, because you tow that there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you basically
if you get that one, exactly.
Man,
and then if you could,
this one.
This one's that one with the green.
This is Death Guard friendly.
God, this terrain is ass. I'm not gonna lie. This would piss me off.
No, it's like there's some really.
How do you hold this one? How, Dave? How do you hold this at all?
Are you looking at the one with the green map behind it? Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Where I'm on about like a bloat drone or something right in the corner.
But you don't know what table you're going to end up on, right? For it, like it could be.
God.
Well, something like a bloat drone or a Beast of Nurgle on that base. Well, I think it might be able to do it, and they're still useful on all the other maps for different reasons. Like one Beast of Nurgle, if you've got the Nurglings, you don't even need to deploy on the board. As long as you know, you might be able to drop it into that corner and then just move on with the rest of the army. Just leave him standing there, because he's OC2. But I mean, something with OC3 would be better. But definitely, a Knight is definitely the back of its base is is visible right across that firing lane is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, this is why Plague Company is also going to be important, is because of sticky. But
Yeah.
so what you're also going to have to do with something like some of these, if you end up on a shitty exposed thing like some of these, is you might have to throw or try and get 20 poxwalkers on it, and
Yeah,
then go right. I'm gonna go to ground and I'm gonna weather it, and then I'm still gonna be there at the end. And if you come
And then
and
it's-
charge them, I'll heroic into you with
Yeah,
something
yeah.
big.
And then if you live to your following command phase, you're right, it's sticky, aren't you? So
Well, what you
it's
do is
gonna-
you make sure that whatever they come into on the pox, you hit them with a really big, heavy melee like heroic intervention that kills them off of it. And regardless if you lose all the pox walkers, you've killed that unit and you're still on it.
Let me add the 20 box then.
I think that's if you get this map, I can't. You're because you're totally right, Will. If you stick a carnivore on that green one, you can't hide it. If you put 5 plague marines on it, they're gone. If you put you've got to put something with a ton of
Like I say,
survivability on it.
I think a
try and
beast of
stick it.
Nurgle or a bloat
I don't
drone
think a
might
beast of Nurgle will
just get it.
survive a committed assault on it. On that.
Oh no, there's not so much, but it's just what there might be the thing on the base side. It can
right,
stay
yeah.
out that centre firing lane, so it's just
Yeah.
something that goes in it and isn't
Yeah,
visible.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, I think you also, what you've described there is the other. That's the
Also,
other way of sort of approaching the
cultists, right?
problem, isn't it?
Yeah, like cultists or a poxwalker, if you touch them don't go on the area terrain, but tuck them single tiny bases, one on, and then one back and wrap them around the corner. You need to actually move quite far out to get a good firing lane to actually develop a firing lane onto that one model.
I mean, I mean, there is another solution, but it's a flipping point expensive one. That could be where plague bearers come in, and then maybe what's the character that gives them the 4+ invuln?
Oh.
I'm sure that character's. I have a feeling it's Epidemus, who's like 90
Yeah,
points.
no.
Yeah,
It's an expensive,
it's too
expensive fix to a problem, and that point, I think you spend so
Yeah.
many points that you've created
Yeah.
another problem.
Yeah, exactly. I think you either use some cultists to kind of tuck around that corner and make the angle really hard to develop, and then get someone to do that, or I think you whack 20 poxwalkers on it, or as in somebody.
I mean, there is also a world where, turn 3, depending on how the game's going, you just deep strike 6 Death Shroud onto it, and you go, right, okay, I know you're going to kill me, but yeah, I'm just gonna hope I make 4+.
I honestly think if you get this map here, I think the thought is less of how do I hold this. You just send 20 box crit. I think the thought is never let them hold theirs.
Yeah, because if you are right, if no one's on anything, you just have a low scoring game.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned him before I think we went live, but we haven't mentioned him since we've gone live. Is there a world where Rotigus comes in here and you play the game where, say, you can see him, but can you kill him? Because Morty's also here. So Rotigus could be on the centre, Morty's been after the expansion. You've got 3 Predators ready to roll out in the line of sight. You go on, put some in there, kill them both. Let's see what happens, I dare you. Like, is that something that's worth a consideration, or are we at the point where we don't have the points for that anymore?
Look, Morgus would be good, but it would probably cost you your second Death Shroud brick at that point, or the Plague Bus. Because otherwise you're just going to be
Is he
too
better
low on
than
the
the
ground.
Plague Bus? I mean, this is the thing: is Rotigus better than the Plague Bus?
The Plague Bus
it's
is good for breaking, but
The Plague Bus is very, very. I think it's got a lot of diversity, like a lot of options. Very play into different situations, defensively and offensively, and it's fast.
and then when it goes, you've got 2 little mission pieces.
And then you get
don't
2 pieces get out exactly.
Yeah, because term 5 or 4,
Yeah.
maybe
New
one
little
source
mission
just
pieces could
because
be
of
good.
contagion.
Which
Yeah,
is-
you like recover assets or.
if we put 5 Plague Marines in,
That's kind of what I was doing. I was kind of thinking having them in there because you could drop them off, or if the Rhino gets busted, then you've got actually 3 units get out.
yeah,
Sometimes you can use the Plague Marines as well to screen the sources from a charge, can't you? You can kind of get in a way where it's hard to
Yeah.
get round the Plague Marines, yeah.
So
It's
with-
probably worth doing.
So with Morty Typhus, Death Guard Sorcerer, Lord of Contagion, Plague Boss, 5
Three
Marines for the
Preds.
Plague Boss, 20 Cultists, 2 Bricks of 6 Death Shroud, 20 Poxwalkers, Triple Predator Destructor, Rhino,
Yeah.
3 Nurglings, you've still got 105
105.
points.
So then that is a drone and what is it?
I mean, you've got a lot of
actually
contagion,
pathogen.
so it's a drawn in the 15-point upgrade on the
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
contagion.
That is
So
the option. That is the option.
You have
there.
got the Nurglings in there, haven't you?
Yeah,
You've already
there's
talked
no
about that, yeah.
Nurglings in there.
I mean, that
I guess the
makes
question,
sense.
and the other question then is, or do you go like we just said? Do you use the 6-man Death Shroud to just threat to be the rapid ingress hammer that comes down somewhere, and then if you took out the second, what do you put in its place? Which is either I mean, you can't put it in a Rhino because there's not enough points. You can't put 180 man. You can't put. There's nowhere near enough points for 10-man fights first.
Yeah.
No. Oh, you can upgrade the 5-man to a 7-man. That's what an extra 35 points is.
Yeah, and then you've got like a weird.
Because you've got space in the Rhino. How many? I can't remember how many points that is. Like it's.
The other weird option is putting in the other one I was looking at is do you put inside like instead of one of the 6-mans, do you put inside like a plague hulk? Not plague hulk. What the hell is it? What's the demon engine?
Soul
Soul Grinder.
It's like a deep strike. It's got decent shooting. It's got indirect, and it's got super heavy melee. But it's huge.
I think with that one, it's not actually so. They're a weird model. If you play them without the base, they're actually quite easy to move because they're kind of like a crab.
Yeah.
So say this is like a wall. God, put my mouth. Can move like that. Does that make sense? I don't know if that works. You can kind of like push in the curve of the crab and kind of. Yeah. So actually, like when I've seen people, but as soon as you put the base on them, yeah, they're a completely different model and they're a complete nightmare. Yeah. So I think if you look in the mission pack, if they can go with that base, I actually think they might be all right to look at. But as soon as you put in the base, just don't even think about it.
I guess the question is is that more useful than an infantry unit that can crash through walls, can deep strike, has got 4 ups?
So let's look at this list. What's playing the mission? So like not playing the mission. So ignoring primary, what is going off to do secondaries? What can you afford to be running down board edges, standing there or raising a banner and just standing pissing in the wind? What have we got? Because that might be because you've got 105 points. Should we be looking at a third squad of cultists, for example? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this what we should be looking at?
It's a third squad of cultists and 10 more poxwalkers to sit on your home.
Yeah,
because
then you can push with the 20. The
20 man is to throw out.
Because that's what.
And then you've got 5 plague marines, 20 poxwalkers. You've got some. You've then got the plague bus, which can be used.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Because we talked about, didn't we? So we never did the Leicester recap. Me and Dave will do that at some point. But I played a couple of the Team England guys. One guy who isn't on the team, but he has a lot to do with the list writing. And I also played Mike Porter. And after the game, they were both. We talked about this privately as well. How I was amazed at how shocked none of the top players are. None of them know what Death Guard are doing because they're just not on the top table, so they're not thinking about it. They were amazed at this 18 Death Guard list. It was -2 to hit, -1 to wound, -1 damage. They were like I've only lost to my Porter by 2 points, and I was up the whole game. And if Morty hadn't have died to the softest shooting possible, I would have won that. That thing where everyone gathers around your table because there's going to be a huge upset about to happen. But after the game, the reason I'm leading into this because I got they were amazed at this asking me the questions. They then gave feedback as to what they thought we could do to improve the game. More Courtney was the other guy I played, and I spoke to some other people kind of away from the table, and they said being able to push a 20 poxwalkers in the middle and having a second 10-man to hold your home field was one of the things they thought would improve the list. So instantly what you've said there is making that same improvement in this list. So the 20 can push and hold the middle, and you've got 10. And obviously you can switch them if you need to, but they thought that was one of the first things that we should change if we were to make it a Team England list.
The thing that's different about this is this event is that it's the same map. All day, one map, all day the next day, and the terrain is set. So it's like this mix, otherwise I probably would have been quite tempted to have taken a very close thing to what we played at Leicester because it really worked. And
well, it did. It worked better than there was elements to it that I think if we were to recap on it, we'd both I'm not sold on Lords of Contagions at all. He could have not been in the list for me, and I'm sure you felt that way with the third sorcerer. But the feedback I got from the players that around me were that another unit to hold the home field, so the poxwalkers could push into the middle of the board, would actually have been quite valuable that list. So what you've just said there, with the third squad of cultists and a second squad of poxwalkers, so the 20-man can push into the middle, probably that might actually be what this list needs, because then that's a lot of mission play, and then the hammers can just go and just smash things. Like your death shroud never have to worry about doing anything other than just, where's that big thing I need to kill? I'm going to go kill that. You know,
Yeah.
Idiot poxwalkers run to the board edge, wave their arms about, die horribly for nothing, but they scored you some points. So I think that might be something to look at. I mean, the other option as well here is, and this is again just as a possibility, you could take either the Source Squad Occultist, because they could also hold, and then like a Poxbringer, like the little 55-point demon character, could just drop down, make people screen him as a small base. I don't know if he's better than the Cultists or Poxwalkers, but it's another option that fits within the points, because it sounds like with 105 points left, that's what it was. It sounds like it's definitely another squad of Poxwalkers or another squad of Cultists, and then 55 points on something else, if it's not a squad of Poxwalkers and a squad of Cultists. That seems like what the list would benefit from, because it sounds like we need chaff now. It sounds like the damage dealers are there. We've talked about how to hold your expansion objective, but what's going to sort of just go to board edges and just do stupid things and stand somewhere and screen this spot without interacting with any other part of the game, just to stop that big deep strike threat coming and getting a line into your backfield or something. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
I was going to say to Aidan, yeah, I was going to say, but I think just before we'll make this kind of, I guess, the last bit of this bit. I can hear my wife's actually just about drop some dinner or throw it at me through the door perhaps in a minute. But the only other question I would have then is so this all kind of makes sense for this. There's a bit of me that looks at these maps and goes, I would do I drop the second 6, keep that 1/6 for the rapid ingress threat, and try and whack. I know I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to say it again because it keeps going around my head. Is try and tweak this a bit to whack 2 carnivores in, because I think there's looking at this terrain, the fact that there's some big gaps to move through. Yes, you look at something like this one is just shit all the way around.
Yeah, this was
Yeah, this is just a nightmare. But there's several others of the map configurations where just being able to put AOC fast onto something, and then if you need to push it out to go and intercept something or kill it, yes, it's a bit of a one-shot weapon, and you're gonna lose it, but it can absolutely murder most things in the game in melee once it gets into it. And having 2 Havoc launchers that are indirect is kind of useful as well for just trying to annoyingly pick up a few straggling units.
We've done this podcast way too long. I'm the one pushing for Poxwalkers and Cultists, and you're the one pushing for coup carnivores.
It's because of this pack.
Yeah, I just love that it's normally me being. Why there no knights in it? Put some knights in.
I know. So, Aidan,
I do think what you're saying is right, though.
I'll pass it over to you, Aidan. What's your kind of closing 5-minute thoughts on this? Then Will and I have been going back and forth like table tennis.
So, honestly, I think just because of how the terrain's so differently and so bloody random, I don't think you can actually plan for it, because what works on this terrain here, for example, Dave.
Yeah.
The one that we like is it doesn't work at all on this one. So I'm wondering if you just drop it all and just go full aggro.
I think there's actually a fix which we haven't thought about that kind of is a.
Hold on. What do you mean by that? What's your?
So, I think because if you get a terrain like this, if you just go aggressive into someone, there will be at least one turn where when they're shooting you back, they don't kill everything that was on a point, and then you sticky it. So say that whether that's the middle or their one down here, and then you push more into them, and you just keep pushing them, and even if the table you turn 4, if they're so far behind, then who gives a shit? Because the problem is on this one here, my passive defensive playstyle doesn't work. I can't hold this safely, and I can't keep denying theirs safely, which means my only other option is to literally have my army in this line in front of them all, so they don't get to go to they don't get to hold their objective. Because then the question of, well, what do I use to hold my objective? That doesn't fucking matter. They need to worry about getting their own objective back. Because the thing is, as well, if you're being aggressive like that and someone's reacting to it and leaves the top open, you just do a cheeky typhus rapid ingress to this tiny corner here that don't have an angle to. Now it's sticked.
Yeah.
So
I think there's potential for actually doing I don't know if I'd go 18 shred, but you could do a heavy skew, Morty, Roy's skew, every aggro you face list.
I think we've missed. I was going to say, why don't we look at 9 Death Shroud? You could half the Death Shroud squad, use at half points for 1 carnivore to do what you're talking about, and just make them a little drop-in threat. Because we're talking, we've got
I,
50.
I think if you do aggro, you fucking send.
You-
I don't think
you go-
you,
you
you
go
don't you
full-
don't piecemeal.
yeah,
You
If you do aggro, I think on this board you take Mortavi and Rottigus, at least 18 dash. I think at least 12, probably 18 dash shroud. You might even take 3. You might even take 30 plague marines and 3 rhinos. You just thrive 3 rhinos of people.
I won't lie. The idea of taking just a mental aggro Death Guard list to just LVO would be hilarious. The last time I went, I did take a Legion Falcon, which was 550 points.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, I think you could do if you do that on this board. It probably, I think Morty Rottigus you definitely take because they barrel up and people can't deal with them both generally in one turn, and then it's either 3 rhinos or 2 rhinos with 2 10s. I mean, we're basically rewriting the list from scratch, which we could, you know.
Which we could do. There's no harm in that.
We can't do it.
We should offline just write an aggro list each together and just go. But I think
That'd be fun actually. Yeah, we could do that in the chat, and then we could all send them to you, Dave, and then you can.
Yeah.
You can just take what you're going to take, and then the next episode we could do. This would be our aggro list.
Yeah. It's definitely been super useful though. Yeah, it's. I think it's just like you said, you're not looking at identical terrain layouts even for like every round or game, and even though it's all on the same deployment, we're definitely suffering from no search and destroy, kind of in the mix on this stuff as well. So I think you're right. It's a bit of a hard one to just go. Well, I'm going to plan for it. So I think it's been super useful.
Yeah, it was good. I always enjoyed doing
this.
It's
good fun to just kind of theory it out.
So I mean, I guess I think that's probably the episode, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously there's stuff happening with Christmas, and Owen's going to finish the tier list. Have you got a date in mind when you might do that in? Would it be the Sunday, or are you thinking that it might be maybe it's one of the midweek days between Christmas and New Year, or will it just be sort of impromptu as and when
probably when I get a 3 night probably. So I will put up notification of it. So don't worry.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously there's the RTT on the 28th that Aiden's playing at. It's my team running it 20th December. So I'm sure Aiden will do some videos recapping his games.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you promised.
He's got a commitment to go 4-1.
Well, 4-1 out of 3 games. But I suppose, yeah, I know you're talking about other events. But I mean, apart from that, I guess like and subscribe, guys. It's Christmas.
Like, comment, subscribe, leave a.
If you want to be on Santa's good list, you've got to like and subscribe. Otherwise, you won't be coming down your chimney. But yeah, apart from that, though, I mean, I suppose the classic, say for Christmas, I get a new army, and I want to sort of, because I've got this priority, Death Guard. Where would I go to get some coaching to learn this new army? What service might be out there to help me?
Well, firstly, what you want to do is talk to Aiden and then book some one-to-one coaching through Vanguard Tactics with him. But yeah, Vanguard Tactics are one of our kind of the team that Aiden and I both play for. Hopefully you'll have seen the game I played recently with Stephen again over there. Just saying again that they're always the most popular videos on their channel, so I don't know why they didn't put Death Guard on there more often. But yeah, Aiden is the Death Guard coach over there, so you can get some direct coaching with him. Their channel has tons of free battle reports. It's got masterclasses. You can join the academy, and they're a great bunch of people, so definitely go and check those out. But Will, I think also, we talked about how to build a list, but how do I even get models to put in a list?
Well, that's it. I mean, obviously, Element Games is a store that we're affiliated with, so if you're buying models, buy from Element, there's a discount on there. We have an affiliate link in the description of the videos, where you click the link, you buy your models as normal. There's no extra cost on your side. We get a little kickback to the channel just as a thank you for sort of sending them your way, and that helps us do what we do. I mean, Aiden, of course, but obviously sometimes I can never remember what the contagions are and what the range is. If I wanted to measure or track these things, is there anything that could help me with that?
You can check out our friends at Saltire Games in the Etsy link below. They sell disgustingly resilient podcast themed gaming aids such as like contagion measurements, track your contagions, what turn you're on, all that kind of stuff. Pretty cool. So check them out. And if you want some fancy dice as well, you can use our Baron of Dice affiliate link below, and you get a little bit of. Do they get a discount, or is it just a referral code?
You just help. Yeah, you help us out with a referral fee. So
they have very nice dice.
But anytime they are doing sales or things like that, if you go to our link, you still get the benefit of those kind of sales. But it just helps the channel out. So do check them out.
Oh, and of course, I mean, we've got Christmas jumpers on the things today. We're festive, but say you wanted to, not be as festive, and you wanted to maybe, wear disgustingly resilient. Show your friends, go to the tournaments. We also have a merch store. I mean, Dave, you're quite cleared upon this. Normally, you're repping repping the cool hip threads. Which
Well,
is
I was going to get
cool
a,
hip way to describe that.
yeah. Thanks. I feel like I'm someone from the 50s now, but yeah,
I was like my dad talking.
we were. I was actually good at one point. We were actually joking about going to get some Christmas Nurgle merch kind of done. But yeah, if you check out drpstore.com, you can find the hoodie that I was wearing on Vanguard Tactics. You can get caps, mugs, all kinds of things. So do check it out. Once again, goes helping support we do, but most importantly, it's just great. It's going to be just great to see people at events wearing that stuff. So yeah, all good, everyone. I think that's everything from my side. Will, what about you?
No, that's it. I think that's everything I can think. I mean, obviously, I'm doing Nottingham GT in January. I know a lot of other people are as well. The UKTC Super Major. So obviously we'll have some more videos before then, and no doubt we'll mention about that event. But before we go, Aidan and Dave, do you have any other events coming up? Anything in January? Anything that you want to sort of mention, or anything that you're excited about?
Just the RTT for now for me, and we'll see where we go from there.
And just Las Vegas for me.
Go, yeah, God, yeah. How can I forget? Yeah, we spent the whole episode talking about this. Anything coming up, Dave? I mean, I don't know.
No, but do want to say, not being sacrilege, but guys, Merry Christmas to both of you too. It's been great doing this this year. It's been amazing watching the channel grow, and still never running out of Death Guard stuff to talk about, which always constantly amazes me. And I think it's great. It just shows that there's it's a great thing we're going on here. And thank you so much to the community for continuing to support us. And I mean, the fact that it's over 8K now, but just remember, get to 10 and Aiden's got to eat cheese.
There you go. So like and subscribe, everyone. Obviously your support's got us this far, and it'll continue to keep the channel growing. And thank you to everyone. And a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I mean, we may do a stream before New Year's, but in case we don't, or in case maybe I'm not on it, whatever. Wish everyone a Happy New Year and a great Christmas. So even if you're not, if you're from another religion or anything like that, just hope you enjoy the downtime. Hope you've got some time off work, friends, family. And look forward to having a Death Guard focus 2025. Got a codex coming, baby. Yes. So yeah, some real exciting stuff to talk about. Oh God, I got so excited to kick my camera. Anything you want to say before we do the final sign off?
No, I'm good, man. Like I said, I will have a RTT recap when that one's done, and it should be interesting. We'll give Flyborn a go.
Right, sounds exciting. Right, well, Merry Christmas again, everyone, and